Hi, Victoria Ali here with EveryoneCounts.World. I'm an author of Survival 101, Life Navigator, and a self-help addict. And that's why I'm here today to talk about career in particular. And the topic that I want to discuss is basically what are 3 steps that you can do to find your passion in career and or business. So to begin with, the first thing that I do when I support people in finding their passion is that I sit down and actually interview them. But you can do this for yourself, where you kind of sit down with a piece of paper or your laptop and you interview yourself like you're a reporter or an observer of your own life. Like you're not really yourself, you're just talking to someone like yourself. Anyway, so that's how I start, is by asking myself some questions. And the kind of questions that I start with are simple, like, what do I like the best about what I'm doing right now at my career? Or what have I liked the best about the jobs that I've had or experienced or learned about so far? What do I like the least about the jobs? And these jobs can include, like, if all your experience is in fast food or something, then you can say, well, I liked being on a schedule. I didn't like the lack of flexibility that I have in my schedule. So there are things that you can learn at each one. Like I have to be there at a specific time versus, hey, I can show up when it's convenient for me. So you just start asking yourself some of these questions. And some of the biggest questions that I've asked myself when I'm going through this is, for instance, if I had a magic wand and I could just wave it and all of a sudden I was in my dream career, what would that be? That's one of the questions I ask myself. Or what did I want to be as a child? And even if it's not what I want to do now, it can sometimes lead. Like in my case, I wanted to be a magician and I spent a lot of time in second grade trying to move pencils with my brain. Anyway, but later on, I actually ended up doing 3D animation and I did a pencil animation where the pencil was playing tic-tac-toe by itself. So even though they might not seem related, sometimes they can be related. So it's nice to kind of tap into what you've always liked. And when interviewing yourself, you might even want to write up on a piece of paper, on one side of the page, say, hey, this is what I don't want in a job. And in the right-hand side, say, this is what I do want. And the only thing that I would encourage is that you use opposites when you're doing this, such as, I don't want to be in a kind of a critical environment where people are yelling at each other and putting each other down. So that's what I don't want in the kind of work that I do. However, I do want people with kindness, respect, appreciation, admiration for one another, and at least common courtesy. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. But, I've been in environments with people who like work in the oil and gas well industry or something. They're out there on their trucks and they just cuss each other out all the time. And it's a part of the job. So, I'm not here to judge. It's more of like, it comes back to you and what you like and what you don't like. And the nice thing is you do this list and you go out and start observing and you can continue to add to it as you go. And this can go across many careers. It's as you go through life. Secondly, you want to find a way to research yourself and really be honest. Like you can look at your resume, but think of yourself again objectively, like you're outside of yourself, interviewing yourself, and ask yourself, what am I really good at? What are the things that people have told me that I'm really good at? What are my challenge areas? What kind of things come naturally to me? What kind of things don't come naturally to me? The other thing that I like to do, and I've done this several times in my life, is take interest tests, career interest tests. And so one of the interest tests that I like is the strong interest test. And I'll put a link to that in the description below. That's for a charge. And I've been referring people to careerassessmentsite.com. And that's not an affiliate link at this stage, but it's there. And then for free, if you want to try, to go to mynextmove.org. It's a government website, and that has an interest test as well. If you take that, I encourage you to look at the end when you're looking at the careers that it presents to you. Yeah, I would start like as if you wanted to get a lot of education, because that kind of tells you like, hey, if I took these careers to the fullest extent, these are the types of things that might appeal to me or that I have an interest in, even if it's engineering and nobody in your family's even gone to college. Or maybe if it's, being a firefighter when everybody in your family is a lawyer. It can go both ways. So that's the second thing that I would do is do some kind of assessment that is like researching yourself. Going along with researching yourself, I think that part of that step is also researching the careers. Once you actually take a look at some of these interest tests, what you'll find is that, it might say, okay, you're artistic, you're investigative, and that kind of thing. But then it gives you some suggestions as to the different careers. So, say you want to be a reporter, then you want to find out more about that. So, mynextmove.org is one of the sites that I go to where you can type in reporter or journalist. And then it even has a video. It tells you what kind of skills are needed, what kind of people do well in it. Tells you what kind of education is common, gives you an idea of what the salary ranges are for these types of careers. And it even tells you if the career has a bright outlook and it's growing, or if it's a career that's kind of stable, or if it's even decreasing. Because you definitely want to make sure that you're not, in the horseshoeing business when automotive careers are starting to take off. So yeah, the research phase is not just about yourself, but it's also about the careers that you find presented to you. So you can do a little bit of research there. And then finally, the third step is to narrow the field, narrow down which industries or which fields you're interested in. And to do that, one of the big tools that I've used that you may have heard of is informational interviews. So informational interviews are where you basically say, okay, I think I might go into real estate. And so I'm going to find a realtor either through my own research or through friends and family. Friends and family are a great way to find professionals to do informational interviews with because they can refer you and then you can say, hey, my cousin said that you might be willing to talk to me, or my cousin might even be able to introduce me to that person and say, hey, can you please let my cousin do an informational interview with you about your job? And they generally last, I would say, between like around 15 minutes or so. However, sometimes when I've taken people to coffee or to do these informational interviews or talk to them on the phone, it ends up going a little longer. And one tip is if the informational interview does go longer, then you want to ask that person at the 15-minute mark, hey, I said I only was going to chat with you for 15 minutes, but we might go over. So is that okay? Are you okay with another 5 or 10 minutes? And oftentimes they are. People love talking about themselves and their careers, especially if they love what they do. I know I do. I love being on both sides of informational interviews. A couple other ideas on narrowing down the field is once you've done an informational interview, if you like what the person has to say, then you might say, like, say I've interviewed a realtor and the person is like, wow, I love the fact that they can set their own hours, they're their own boss, they're in real estate. I love houses. I love checking out houses. So that's the kind of thing that you can, establish in an informational interview. But once you've done that informational interview, then there's the opportunity to ask that person if you like the job for a job shadow. And what a job shadow is a request to go in and go with them to their workplace and spend a half a day, maybe a couple different days. I know my sister was researching going into different fields involving law enforcement, and she ended up doing a lot of ride-alongs. So with different people, including park rangers, and that's what she went into. So in any case, these are the types of things that can help. Now, I want to tell you something that not only do these opportunities help you to narrow the field, when you start asking these people, hey, what do you like the best and least about your job? What's an average day like for you? What kind of education do you need? What kind of people do well at this job? If you were to do it again, would you go into the field again? And so not only do you get the information and then especially being on the job, get a sense of what it's like, but the other thing is this helps you with the underground job market, which we'll talk about in other videos. But if I do an informational interview with somebody and I say, I will call you at 10 o'clock on Tuesday, and I actually call them at 10 o'clock on Tuesday, I respect our 15-minute guideline for the call, and I send a thank you note afterwards and everything, they will possibly refer me to other people if I ask them for other informational interviews. And if I go to their job shadow that they offer and I show up on time, then what am I showing these people? I'm showing people, hey, I'm somebody who shows up on time. I'm somebody who's curious. I'm somebody who's self-motivated. And it just shows so much. It shows employers so much when you go to these types of lengths to just find out about a career. And so then once you get a job shadow, you might ask them for an internship. You might ask them if they know other people that would talk with you. And once you get an internship, then they'll have job openings. And who do you think they'll hire? If they already know who you are, if they trust you, if they can see that you show up on time. I mean, this is the hidden job market. And I learned about this early on, and I've used these tools for multiple careers to the point where now I've experienced 5 dream careers. And this is my 6th dream career now, being a life navigator. The next steps after you have done this process and you have actually been able to identify your ideal career is to make it happen. So that kind of leads me into a little bit of information about our company, which is EveryoneCounts.World. We offer self-paced courses, live courses, support groups, as well as one-on-one coaching and navigating to help you find your passion, to help you develop your upward path. And we'll hopefully be adding more and more of these types of self-paced classes, including like personal finance and different things as we go forward. So if you're currently dissatisfied with your job for some reason, in the middle of a job change, in the middle of some kind of life transition, consider going to EveryoneCounts.World and taking a look at some of these courses. All right. Well, I'm glad we had a chance to talk. There's nowhere else I would rather be than with you here right now talking about your career. Please leave me comments if you'd like, or other suggestions on videos that you'd like to hear information on, or my ideas on from my personal experience, and of course all the self-help books that I've followed in the past. So I'm wishing you health, happiness, and prosperity in every area of your life. Until we meet again, take care.